ATDLE, Voices of Dual Language Education, the podcast where we share our dual language experiences. I am one of your hosts, Angelica Sandoval, and Giselle Barret, my partner, is joining me.
Hola, hola.
Hola, hola.
And so each episode we'll talk with inspiring guests, share stories, dive deep into classroom ideas that will spark curiosity, inspire change, and bring laughter. Whether you're here to learn, be entertained, get inspired, you're in the right place. So sit back, relax, and let's get started.
So he said, I'm super excited about today's topic. It's from our third pillar. So today's topic is from language to identity, integrating the third pillar in dual language classrooms. I always remember that forgotten pillar, right? People forget to do that third pillar. So I'm super excited about this. And we would like to welcome back our special guests, dual language educators and learner series presenters, Graciela Flores and Hilda Escamilla. Welcome.
Bienvenida. Hello.
How are you?
Hola.
Feliz año nuevo.
Feliz año nuevo, sí.
Feliz año.
Ya sé que se las pasaron en las posadas. You guys were in posadas celebrating with family. So much fun.
I think that's so important, especially us educators. That's what we need during our breaks.
Yes.
Sí, platícanos and let us know like a little bit of a quick update. ¿Qué han hecho? What are you doing these couple of months ahead? I know that Hilda is doing the Lunar Series.
Yes. I'm excited. I'm excited to do the learner series. I'm scheduled for next
The 17th.
Saturday, the 17th, right? Yeah, I'm going to be doing it on vocabulary. So I will be focusing on one of the 5 pillars of literacy, which is vocabulary. And those of you who want to know what it's about, I will be focusing on vocabulary, what it is, why it's important, and then provide a lot of ideas and strategies on how to teach it in your dual language classroom. I'm going to go ahead and share all those ideas, and hopefully you'll be able to bring those back into your classroom once you attend. But you gotta attend.
I'm gonna attend. Graciela, do you have anything?
I'm also doing a learner series, right? I think that's right after Hilda. And I'm also focusing on vocabulary more in the upper grades. I feel that as students continue in the upper grades, it's a lot of teaching them that metacognition and teaching them to be aware and reflect on their own thinking while they're reading. And so I'm going to be talking about and teaching a lot about those strategies. Do students understand that, that complex text as they continue in the upper grades? And what strategies should they be using, especially when they're reading on their own? Because it's the vocabulary. It's very complex.
Super excited about that. We need a lot of our upper grade teachers to attend to that because you have such great strategies. You've been at it for a while in upper grade as well. And just looking at one of your videos, like if you go into our ATDLE website, there's a video of Graciela teaching and also Hilda, and you can see them in action and see some of the strategies that they already use. So don't forget to go on there and see that. I'm so
sorry. I did forget to mention that I know Graciela is doing it for upper grade and mine focuses on K2, so kinder, first and second grade. That's what we'll be focusing more
Angelica, sorry, how was yours this past month that you did your presentation?
I was worried about going over, and of course I went over. I always go over in my presentations, but I felt like, the participants were really into the asking of the questions and genuinely wanted to learn about phonics and phonemic awareness. And so if you missed it, we might have an option for that, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I have the next step in the pillars of reading is fluency. So I did phonemic awareness and phonics, and so fluency is next, and that's what on February 7th is going to be my next presentation. So if you're interested in that. But for today's topic, thank you so much for that opportunity to kind of reflect on what we're doing. But today's topic is our third goal in dual language programs. And what does it mean? And so when we talk about our third goal of dual language education, we're really talking about how students learn and understand and respect different cultures, including their own, right? It's about learning how to connect with others, appreciate different ways of thinking, and feel just proud of who they are and where they come from. This goal also helps our students build empathy and confidence so that they can build relationships and thrive in a diverse world. And so just understanding what that definition is, like respecting and understanding their own culture. This just kind of reminds me of some of my students when we talk about their own ethnicity and where they come from, and they have the curiosity of wanting to learn a little bit more. So this third goal and talking about that and how we make sure we really hit it, or make sure that we really not explore but teach it right in our classrooms is exciting. So so I can't wait to hear from some of you.
No, I agree, Angelica. I feel like one of the things that we continue to remind ourselves is making this part of our everyday teaching and learning, because it's not just a one-day performance or one-day activity. It's trying to see how we as teachers try to implement this third pillar in our classroom setting throughout the weeks, throughout the year. And so that's very important to me. And I'm always very conscious about when I'm going into planning how, if it's in the morning meeting and asking students what they did over the weekend or over breaks, and then just really listening to those stories, or whether it's a social studies or literacy, some kind of stories that connect to students' cultures.
Definitely. When like what I feel that's important is like connecting with their families and their cultures. And what I love to do is like understand where my students come from, and then I buy books. I know I have like my student population, we have a lot of families who are Filipino, so I buy books that are in the Tagalog language, or if I know that they like French, so I just buy books, even though we're not teaching it directly, but it's like sparking that curiosity. It's like, oh, my grandma knows Tagalog and I know a little bit about it, so I want to look at this book. And even though it's like you can scan through them and then take them home, that's a little bit of how you can integrate it throughout the year without like very structured, but it's just like very natural for them to just pick up a book.
Very fluid. No, yeah, but again, in my classroom, getting to know the kids and knowing where they are, because we do have like Giselle said, our community does have a lot of a large Filipino community. However, it's kind of changing as well. We have a lot of mixed families. And so this year in particular, I found out I had a couple of Korean families. And when we were learning about holidays around the world, I had 2 students who were so excited when I brought up Hanukkah. And the parents got involved, the older siblings came in, and just when you touch a little bit, you mention it, like Christmas in the Philippines, Navidad en las Filipinas. I mean, their little eyes, just looking at their eyes when you just mention their culture and say a word in Tagalog, like Giselle said. I mean, that little, like, for the little student who doesn't say anything, all of a sudden their little eyes just pop open. and you make a connection with them, and then they open up. And here come more, more days, more holidays. Last year with, what is it, the Lunar New Year?
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about that because I also have students with Chinese heritage. So getting to know the difference between your Chinese Americans, your Filipino Americans, and now Korean Americans as well. So it's nice to it's challenging because some kids don't know, especially when they're coming from those mixed families, but it's just getting to have a conversation with them to figure it out.
And appreciating the culture and the diversity. And so I think that's also important too, because when we are learning about these different traditions and cultures, I feel like the kids that are just learning about it, they're excited and they want to know more. And we're not just celebrating Christmas with Santa and like we do in the States. So there's other ways to celebrate during holidays around the world. And so that's also, like, I always look at my students and I look at their eyes, and just like, as you mentioned, one of the things that I just thought about, he said, I know you invite some parents to your classroom.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought about that because that's also another way to connect with their, with students' cultures. And so that's, again, I see parents, when parents step into the classroom, it's just another voice, another way for that connection.
Those are all great examples of what we do in our classroom and the practices that we're doing intentionally to build that, social cultural competence, right? Which is that third goal. And it is intentional because we can just go with the norm, right? We can just talk about whatever the norm is around our society. But once you start bringing in where our children are from, for example, I have a student that has an Indian background. And so as soon as I said Diwali, she has beautiful blue eyes, and her eyes just kind of popped, and just like, that's what I do. I do that. And she is the quietest student in my classroom. And all of a sudden I heard her, and I heard her because she knew that I was acknowledging where she was from and what she does at home and how does she celebrate. And so it does bring that joy from our students, right? What other ways do you intentionally make sure that you do this in your classroom? Like, we know we have, I know that at Camarena, what we did one time is that we looked at our curriculum and we made sure we called out where the stories were from for each, whatever unit we were talking about. Like unit 1, there was a story from Mexico. Unit 2, there was a story from, what is it, in English, not in English. It was an Indian, I think it was an Indian.
A Native American. Well.
or folktale. I think los ciegos o los ciegos y los elefantes or algo así, ¿verdad? Porque es de India o algo. And so how do we intentionally call it out? Like, not skip that little subtitle where it says un cuento de, and that's what we want our listeners to look out for, right? Look out for those stories and where they're from and why are they, popular folk tales, or why are they popular in their country, and so that students can relate. So we do have those celebrations like Dia de los Muertos, holidays around the world. Those are all kind of like the superficial things that we can do with our kiddos. But how do we dig into our curriculum?
So one of the things that I've done in the past, so we have like the theme of inventors. I started with the Native Americans are the first inventors here in our society. They had to create things and using things from nature, and then dive into, like I said, look at your students. And if I have a student from, again, Panama, I look for an inventor from Panama and then integrate that and like print pictures. And not only those that are giving us in the curriculum, but go a little bit just integrating just the community that you have. And when my mom is from Panama, there's someone that invented something from that country, and tie it into geography. And just like you said, it's the same as when we're sharing those holidays. The students just get excited to see someone like themselves.
Mm-hmm. And then bringing it into other subject areas. Since, for example, one of the things that I brought in was a world map, because a couple of units ago, we had to identify different stories, same story, different parts of the world. And in doing so, I kind of kept the map. I kind of forgot to send it home. And then in the next unit, they mentioned another country. We're like, hey, where is that from? And then I had a student bring out the map. It's where is it? I'm like, oh my gosh. So now we almost have like this permanent like world map. And I printed out on the large ledger paper. And we did it for holidays around the world. Sorry, it wasn't the same story, different countries. But they're able now to see in reference to where posadas are in Mexico, and Israel for Hanukkah and all those different ones. And then we started integrating it in science, because we're learning about the watershed and different life science skills. And so we're just plugging it in. So our little holidays around the world map had a bunch of other countries labeled. And then the kids are, oh, well, my family's from, and they'll randomly mention a state in the US. I'm like, well, that's here. Let's break out our United States map, our US map. And so now we have two. Maybe next year I'll probably do like a world map on one side or a US map on the other, because the kids will bring up, Louisiana for randomly or whatever. So, and then having them, see it on the map. And then they feel, oh, well, my family's from Las Filipinas. Oh my gosh, when we colored Las Filipinas, we're so excited. So just little things like that.
Yes.
That is a cool way to fulfill that one second grade standard, right? The maps.
Yes, because more maps.
And you're like, well, how does that really hit those standards? Well, let me tell you.
Yeah.
It is. I didn't want to bring it up, but yes, that map reading is a second grade standard. But
exactly.
But even with Graciela, when you're learning about U.S. history in fifth grade, large map. I mean, by the end of the unit, it's all filled up. Even if you do put, Juanito is from here and Elenita is from here, and then you can kind of.
Such an important skill. I mean, I feel like when I teach explorers, and we take out the map and we're, drawing arrows and plotting all the different directions. And again, we're talking about the differences between countries and cities and states, because those things come up in the upper grade. But yeah, that's such an important skill. Every year, I feel like that's something that should be revisited. But I was thinking about the whole idea of the intentional part of our teaching. And one of the things, I know you mentioned, Angelica, that yes, we do celebrate Dia de los Muertos, and our students do create the little mini ofrendas. And so one of the things that I make sure that students understand is the history behind all that. So obviously we read an informational text and before we have them create. So the why are we creating, and why is this so important in this culture? And the other thing is, I have students make these oral presentations. So they're not just coming and bringing these memory boxes or ofrendas, but we have this, I have this rubric, and we go through it and talk about what it means, what it entails to stand up and have a conversation or present on a topic, especially on a topic that's so important to them. So I feel like that connection right there is I mean, not easy because it's really, I mean, at that age, it's hard to stand up and have a presentation. But I think when you connect it to something so personal or something that relates to them, it's just easier for them to start practicing how to speak. And the other part too that I also plan intentionally is making sure that the students, their audience, who's, you know, they're sitting and watching and listening. I also have some very guiding questions on the screen, and I want to make sure that they show that respect. And so, how are you showing respect? Well, I'm listening to this presentation, 1 minute, 2 minute presentation. They're talking about their loved one, and so they're writing down anything that they're learning and anything that they showed appreciation about the person and the presentation itself. And so that goes back to that oral language skills that we're also making sure that students are practicing. So that's what happens in the upper grade world.
And then also showing them that empathy piece as they're learning about other cultures and their friend and you know, when their friends are presenting, like I see, you know, it's not supposed to be super sad, but understand, oh, that's why they chose this person because of X, Y, and Z. And so appreciation and empathy, which is part of that that pillar, right?
Oh yes, 100%.
Angelica, do you want to share something like an example that you do at your school?
And I just remembered when I used to teach in the upper grade, there was a story. It was through benchmark education, and it was Loreta Janeta Velasquez. And she was a Cuban-born woman who actually disguised herself as a man and went I think she was part of the Civil War or something, but her purpose was to go look for her husband. She didn't know where her husband was at. I mean, those are the intentional stories that you want to kind of like, you know, of this Cuban hero, right? Es cubana, es una heroína. And, you know, it's like, so we feed off of that. And then I remember that year that the girls wanted to look for more female heroes. And so to me, that was just like, oh, that was it came out of nowhere. My intention wasn't to do that, but then we geared off into talking about different heroes and from different cultures. And so that was an example of, you know, that I just kind of wanted to bring up, because we don't know what we have until when we have it and we look at it and we read the history behind it, and it's like, oh, this works perfectly for that third goal, right? And making sure we go off on that tangent, just like how my students did, like naturally, organically, they went and they researched more. So
sometimes unconsciously our kiddos guide our instruction, and it ends up being a really good idea, like right now that you're mentioning that, you know, and like a kind of learning a little modern day Mulan.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I
know you have some examples, right? He said.
Yeah, so we extended the invitation for our listeners and people who follow us on our social media if they wanted to share. So we have Mr. Arriaga Rodriguez. He's a 5th grade educator at Lockwood STEAM Academy. It's a 50-50 immersion program. So shout out to him and his classroom and his school. And I'm going to read what he sent us. So he says, I teach students about different cultures through the Be Glad strategies. We explored a unit on how different cultures celebrated their loved ones who passed on. We compared them and wrote essays that demonstrated things that are alike and different. Many of our students already celebrate and know about Dia de los Muertos, represented in the first image in our graphic organizer input chart. We're going to share this image, co-created with students, that show what they already know about how Hispanic cultures celebrate their loved ones. The other image is another graphic organizer that was used to expose students to learn about the Obon festival from Japan. The input chart was used to expose students to traditions, foods, entertainment, clothing, and altars. Students were extra engaged as they also got to learn about some Japanese. Afterwards, they split into expert groups and got to teach the class more about specific categories. In the end, students wrote essays detailing how these celebrations are similar and different. Many students came to the conclusion that while we live in different places, we have many aspects of our celebrations that are the same. We have more in common than different. I love that.
Mhm.
Yay, thank you. I don't remember who said it, but we were talking about, school partners with families and communities and how we straighten this goal. Like our families are our number one assets, right?
Mhm.
So we need to include them when we're teaching. Like you said, I remember 2 years ago, I had some grandparents come and talk to us about Hanukkah. And they were really excited. They brought their menorah and they talked about, the celebration and the candles and what it means. We also, I'll never forget this. When we were doing Lunar New Year, we call it Lunar New Year. And that was a learning curve for me. And the reason why is because I had a student correct me. I used to say Chinese New Year. And he said, Maestra, not everybody is from China that celebrates Lunar New Year.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, oh, I'm like, perdón, so and so, his name. ¿De dónde eres? Perdóname por no saber. I remember saying that. And then he's like, I am from Hong Kong. And I said, oh, dime cómo lo celebran, dime esto, and so he explained to me, right? He explained to me everything. So where I'm getting to as far as our community and family, his mom got a hold of that I was talking to him about Lunar New Year. So he went back home and talked to his mom about it. And so I'll never forget, mom comes the next day, well, maybe just the weekend or whatever. She comes back with a box full of decorations. And she's like, I heard that you're doing Lunar New Year. So we do Lunar New Year. I brought you all these decorations. And so we did the whole wall with all the decorations she had either bought, ordered, already had. And then she said, I know this was invented here, but I brought some for the whole school. She brought fortune cookies for the whole school. So she came with like, well, we're a small school, right? So it's like 500 or less, right? And so she brought like 500, 600 fortune cookies, and everybody had a fortune cookie at the school. So that was unintentional. And I didn't know how much of an impact I had on her son. I didn't know how much of an impact I had on her. And she felt valued. She felt like you're including me. You're including where I am from, and you're taking interest of that. And so to me, that is very important. And so how do you guys do that at your schools? And how do you make sure that you have the community involved?
I love how the student, advocated for himself. And I think that's very important, that we teach students to be outspoken, and what we want for them is to be proud of themselves. And I think integrating the families and their community really impacts them and their life, because sometimes, because we're so close to the border, we always, the majority of our students are from Mexican families, but we have students from Latin America. And I remember that, like I said, focus on where your family's from the families. And I remember a student that his family was from Peru, and he didn't want to say he was from Peru. And I asked the mom to come and present and show us. And all the students are so excited. We want to visit Peru and Machu Picchu. And at the end, the students felt seen and proud, because before he would say he was Mexican when his family came from Peru. So that's another way to kind of view this, is like taking them ownership of who they are and advocate for who they are, and investigating and wanting to be part of their community instead of pretending to be from somewhere else. So that's something that I truly remember about, like, how bringing families to come into the classrooms and showing students where they're from and how we're similar and different.
Yeah, and I think that's very powerful. And I think I had mentioned it before, but it's involving those families as cultural experts is one way to bring in that and into the classroom and have students hear it from those experts, not just, you know, the teacher. And so I do remember, I remember when I taught second grade, one of the parents was wrote a book. It was a children's book, I remember at the time, and having her come into the classroom, and again having my second graders know that this parent was sharing this picture book and was an author. Again, it was just bringing that experience into real life, into the classroom, that just opened their eyes and again wanted to know more about this student's culture, the student's life. And so the parent, as the cultural expert, I felt that she was such a powerful voice in the classroom. I mean, again, inviting those parents, caregivers, grandparents, or even the own students. I feel that when we're learning about holidays around the world, having the students speak and use their own voice, I feel like it's just another way for them to learn about it.
We also have, and when I was teaching with all of you in the same school, remember when we had the parents come in and help out during all of the celebrations, like Mexican, the Mexican Independence. We had Dia de los Muertos. They would make all the sugar skulls. And, you know, they would come and participate in all of that. Now it's expected, right? Like, we can't back down. And it's the same culture that I've been doing at the other school that I'm at, is making sure that routine is there and that expectation is still there. Like, when are we doing the sugar skulls? When I haven't even thought about sugar skulls, the parents are the ones coming up to me and saying, when are we doing them? Because we need to get the parents involved. We need to get and so they're taking that ownership. And one of the things that we want to do at our school is form a committee of parents, dual language parents, and having them also be part of this. And then making sure that we remind them why, you know, we have 3 goals. And we do number 1 and 2 pretty well in our classrooms, but, you know, we want to make sure that you're involved in that 3rd goal as well, and the reason why we're doing it.
So tying in, it's like, what advice do you give schools or communities that are beginning to focus on sociocultural competence? Like, how would you start? Would you start at the school, in the classroom, maybe when they register for kindergarten, and show them this is the 3rd pillar? What do you recommend?
I feel like it starts. Go ahead. I feel like it starts in the classroom. I mean, I feel like you start little, and the easier way to connect and communicate with parents is in the classroom. And so I'm already thinking of, every year I send a message when we celebrate Lunar and learn about Lunar New Year. I ask if there's anyone that would like to come and speak about it in the classroom. So I feel like that's one way, easy way that you can start at any site. Invite your parents, invite your community, and see how you can bring those experts into the classroom. And it's just a quick, easy way.
And can I say, Graciela, there is going to be a little bit of pushback, and I'm going to be a realist, especially when you are a strand within a school, right? It was really hard for our other teachers to even accept, like, why are you doing Dia de los Muertos? Why are you doing this and that? Or why are you celebrating this? And so there was a lot of questions behind that. So I feel like right off inviting the whole school to participate instead of just being a strand or just the dual language classrooms get to do this, making sure that everybody is involved in this whole celebration. So one of the things, like I'm going to go back to the Lunar New Year. My experience was, I did it in my classroom too. And then as soon as one of my partners, she teaches in a different grade level. She is from, oh my gosh, not Taiwan. She's from Vietnam. She's Vietnamese, and she said, she's like, I love what you're doing for Lunar New Year. Can I participate? I'm like, of course. And so now we're doing like little parades on Lunar New Year. We're doing little parades in everybody's classroom, and she brings out the drums, she brings out music, and she brings out everything. And so she's not a dual language teacher, but making sure that you involve the whole school as well, because then there's going to be friction. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners will probably know what that is. But making sure that everyone's involved, like Dia de los Muertos, everyone is involved in our school. And then we have like classroom visits. Everybody comes and visits, and we have a sign-up sheet and stuff like that. So it's just not, the dual language kids or the dual language.
One of a suggestion for that, like that is great that your colleague was able to see that and was interested. Another thing is just bring it up to your grade level. I know like you, Angelica, you come from a smaller school and it's only a couple of you. But if there are multiple teachers in your same grade level, just bring it up. Hey, I'm interested in teaching, about Lunar New Year. Are any of you interested? And, I'm willing to, give out some handouts to you so that this is what I'm, share with them what you're going to be doing. And if they want to do it, they do it. And if they choose not to, but at least you put it out there for them, and they will have the choice whether to continue to do it or not. And and then at least they, that usually helps. That usually works with me. I'll come up with some crazy idea. I said, hey, I'm going to try this. And I might have buy-in, I may not. And then I'm the lone one. And sometimes I'll reconsider depending on my team, but and little by little, I know that it kind of spreads, just like the Dia de los Muertos and the sugar skulls, that it is now an expectation. We can't back down anymore, and that's how you build it. And now the majority of the school is in on it, and even and I'm sorry to go out, continue here, but even like the memory boxes at our school, because we've been doing it for so long. Some teachers were saying, not that they were complaining, but they were like, it's because they're pretty much refurbishing or recycling their old boxes. And so what some of the grade levels started doing, I noticed a couple of years ago, was instead of doing the memory box, they change it up and they do like like for upper grade, I think it was fourth grade, who started putting like the picture of the person and an essay, and just it's not a box. It's more like a frame and an essay, and they're changing it up based on the kids' grade level so that the kids are able to participate more in it. And
and then you get teacher buy-in too, right?
And then you get teacher buy-in, yes. So
their ideas are valid, and everybody wants to continue doing it. But then it's not like this is the way we've been doing it for years, and this is the way we're going to keep it. And that's so funny that you say that, because in our upper grade, teachers also decided to do that. Like they're doing a trifold now, or they're doing a famous person. It's totally changed up. Oh my gosh,
so
such great
flexible.
ideas.
Being flexible in how they do things. So
yes, there's going to be hiccups for sure. Sorry, he said.
Oh no, what I liked about this year at our school, they did Passport Around the World, and it's STEM because we did our Mexican fiesta. We've done our Dia de Muertos, and they wanted to extend it for the whole school. We do invite our colleagues, but now it's like PTA. It was a PTA.
It was community schools.
Like community schools who ran this the festival. So we had so each classroom chose like a country, and students learned about it and their art. So I know that they do something like this at your school, Angelica, as well.
Yeah, We actually started it at a different school, and then PTA, actually, the one that approached me, is like, we heard you used to do this at your other school. And I'm like, yes. And I said, let's do it. And so the first year for our multicultural event, we only had like 6 classrooms, 6 teachers participate out of 30 teachers. And so little by little, it's growing now. And then the kids are expecting it. And so they want to see their country too. And so they kind of tell their teacher, why don't we do my country? Let's learn about my country. I can, participate in. They take so much, pride and joy in our multicultural event. So if you need any resources, let us know, and we can send you guys resources as well for that.
Angelica, did you guys do it during your school day?
We did, yes.
Oh.
We had a schedule. Actually, the parents run the booth. Okay. And so, it's really simple. It's a 15, 20-minute block, like TK through first grade. They all go, and they all have their little passport, and they get stamped to whatever country they go to. They either get a stamp or they get a sticker. It's so cute. And so by the end of the day, they visited so many countries. And so they're so tired of traveling, all their countries. And, they just learn, they go and it's fun. It's a really fun event, and it gives me chills every time it happens, because the kids are so happy. And we used to have like an activity to go with each one of them, but it was like the lines were so big and the kids wanted to do an activity, so we kind of cut that one. But they got a copy of an activity if they want to do it in their classroom.
Oh, that's good. So they can do it at home and then extend that learning with their parents or their caregivers.
Yeah, but that's another great idea, to have it during the school day, so that way all students participate.
Yeah.
Yes.
Love that idea.
Yes.
Yeah,
and we just had parent volunteers. We just had parent volunteers mind the booth. Like every hour, somebody would change, or if they wanted to stay the whole time, they can. Mm-hmm. It was 4 hours, but they switched off. I mean, those are logistics, but yeah, definitely can do it during the school time. I like the participation of all students.
Yeah.
And getting that.
Yeah, that's an advantage. Yeah, because with us it was an evening. It was an evening event, and even though the whole school participating and producing a decoration from a different country, I'm sure not all students were able to assist, but in theory, it's a great idea. It was our first time we did it, so hopefully by next year, if we promote it a little bit better, we could do it better. Kind of like an extension to like what you did, maybe do a portion during the day and then an evening for the communities. But so many ideas.
Yeah.
Well, girls, this is the end of our podcast. Can you believe it went so fast? I just feel like we have so many ideas. We have a wealth of tools in our toolboxes that we can share with our listeners, and especially our newer teachers or new to dual language, right? Mm-hmm. Now, there's another, we always ask this question: is there an educational book that you want to recommend to our dual language educators? Doesn't have to relate to our topic, but if you have one related to our topic, that would be great as well. I can go first if you want me to. There was one that I read. It was during COVID. Remember that time? It's called Culturally and Linguistically Responsive by Shiroki Hari. And it really talks about how to really not judge or automatically make up your mind on a child based on their background. Mm-hmm. And so it talks about how to be more culturally responsive in your classroom, like things that you look for, how to understand a child and where they're coming from. And to me, that opened up my eyes. He also has some videos on YouTube. Like you can see like some of his keynotes. He's fantastic. So anyways, I don't want to hog up this whole podcast.
Well, I always go back to the good old Guiding Principles for Dual Language Education book. And I always think about that book because I remember sitting at some point with the whole DI team. There was a vertical planning day. And I remember, and I think it was when I started at Camarena, it's a book that has these progress indicators. And so you, as a program, it helps you self-evaluate. It's a tool. So it's not just a list of ideas. It's really a tool that identifies the strengths and areas of strengths and areas of needs for improvement as a program. And so I always go back anytime, if you want to look at the 3 pillars, I think that's a good way to start and look at how your site is at. And so that's my go-to book.
I'm not going to recommend a educational book, but I'm going to recommend a children's book. So because of my students population, like I said, Tagalog, I like the Little Yellow Jeepney. It's like a series of books by Dr. Joy Francisco. She's local. She's from San Diego. And she has all these books. And I love to kind of like see the cognates with the students of how some of the words relate to like the Spanish words. So she has different on like family and just like fruits and vegetables. And then the students pick it up and they're like, oh, this looks like this word. And it's almost the same. So it's also like an educational book for us to learn how the words and vocabulary relate. So that's my recommendation. Pues muchísimas gracias por estar aquí. I want to thank all of you for your time and being here with us and sharing your experience. We also want to give a huge thank you to our listeners and to everyone working to strengthen the dual language education and community. We just want to share that don't forget we have the ATDLE conference that will be here in San Diego June 17th to the 19th. So we hope to see you there.
Should we give a shout out to all those districts that have already signed up?
Definitely.
Yeah. Do you have a list or no?
I have a few names.
Okay.
All right.
I have Lodi Unified School District, Panama Buena Vista Union School District, Santa Maria Bonita School District, Calexico Unified School District, Chula Vista Elementary School District, Fresno Unified School District.
I have a list too. I have Glendora Unified School District, Westminster School District, La Habra City School District, Thomas Edison Charter Academy, San Jose Unified School District, Stockton Unified School District, San Diego Unified School District, and then Parlier Unified School District.
Oh my gosh, so many districts already. You don't want to miss it.
Yeah.
We're all going to be there as well. All
Yes.
4 of us. We're part of the planning committee as well. And then starting in the month of January, which we're already in, we have our ATDLE Learner Series, like how we talked about at the beginning of the podcast. They are on Saturday, and we have our upcoming one, January 17th, Unlocking Vocabulary in the Dual Language Classroom for K2 with Maestra Escamilla. Raise your hand, Maestra Escamilla. No, just kidding. And then right after that, we have Graciela's, which is, I don't have the date for yours, Graciela. Is it the same day, January 17th, or no?
No.
So
I just brought up my calendar. I have mine. My first one is on February 7th and then February 28th.
yay. And then join our 3-part PD series, which is also on January 14th with Omar Guillen and Diana Hernandez. They will be doing Beyond Words, Mastering Oracy. And it's designed just for dual language educators. This series focuses on powerful GLAD and Espanol strategies to boost oral language development for emergent bilinguals and multilingual learners. I think that is it, right?
Yeah.
We are done. I mean, we appreciate your time and attention. Let us continue leading with language and advancing our learning. We hope that you will join us for our next episode. I think we have already a guest lined up for that one.
Yeah.
Should we say or should we just keep it? No, we'll just keep it a secret.
Let's keep it a secret.
We'll keep it a secret.
No,
So we have our next guest coming up, and I think in about 2 weeks or so. So look out for our, would it be our 4th podcast?
Yes, it's our first
Yes.
podcast.
Yay.
So yay. Don't forget to be sure to follow us on our social media platforms, or TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. And then you can find this podcast on any of your music platform of your choice. We have to give a shout out to our partners. We have Shunya Kids, E-Readers, Avant, CASA, SDCOE, DLENM, Dual Language Education of New Mexico, Meta. They will have a conference soon, which is a Multilingual Educators Transforming Achievement. Muchísimas gracias a todas. Nos vemos pronto.
Nos vemos.
Gracias a ustedes.
Bye.
Adiós.